Hi everybody, I'm Felisa and today's vlog entry is on toxic relationships. Now, my disclaimer, because I always have one, is that these are my thoughts, my observations, and in some cases my experiences. It is not intended to be professional advice and it should be taken with a grain of salt. I hope this video will help you, but if not, yeah. So anyway, here we go. So toxic relationships, as the name implies, is a relationship that is terrible for you. Toxic means deadly in a lot of cases. And so a toxic relationship is definitely detrimental to your spiritual self, your emotional self, and sometimes your physical self. So I wanted to kind of go through some of the identifiers or the red flags that may be coming up in a relationship to help you understand that it may be toxic. This is not intended to be an exhaustive list. I'm sure that there are hundreds of other things that could be listed, but these are the kind of ones that I'm familiar with, that I've seen or experienced myself. I wanted to just chat about it a little bit. So here we go. So the first thing is keeping score. So you have a relationship in which it's kind of tit for tat. So, you do this one day and then somebody else does it the next day, or your partner does it the next day. And when you check them on it, they kind of say, well, remember when you did X, Y, and Z, or, I didn't say anything then, so why are you saying anything now? So it's kind of like a one-upmanship, but it's weird because now you owe me because you did this. It's the most bizarre thing ever. And you keep doing this ritual of back and forth and, keeping up with, the slights and the offenses that you may encounter in this relationship, when really that's just a way of being childish and immature and kind of like, well, Susie did this and so I get to do that, and, blah, 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 blah. So keeping score in a relationship is not appropriate. And if someone does something to offend you, instead of bringing it up when you do something even more egregious, why not just say, hey, I didn't appreciate that you did that. It's not going to fly with me, or whatever the case may be, instead of waiting for your opportunity to get back at them, which is completely inappropriate. The second one is being controlling and jealous. Now, I am admitting that I can be a little green-eyed when it comes to my man, or when I have a man, but I'm not over the top with it. I certainly have times where I may be uncomfortable with women, or be uncomfortable with some of their conversation or their approaches towards a guy that I may be seeing, but I definitely am not over the top with it. I'm not insecure. I'm not jealous for no reason. And if I have an issue or if I question something, I definitely will ask my guy. But just being over the top, every time someone is in close proximity with the opposite sex, or anytime you have a conversation with someone, or like I had a friend who worked with males, and her husband was just incensed. And every time there was a meeting, now mind you, these were not one-on-one meetings, these were meetings in which the entire group would assemble. He had a problem with it. Well, was so-and-so there? Did you talk to so-and-so? It was the most bizarre thing ever. And I was really, quite frankly, afraid for her safety, because none of these rants made sense. So when you have someone who is so completely blinded by jealousy, and the jealousy is unfounded, there's no reason for it. They just don't even want you talking to another person of the opposite gender. That is a red flag. And then add to it the controlling nature, that they don't want you to talk to so-and-so, or they don't want you to be around the opposite gender, or you need a chaperone when you actually are out and about. And typically that runs into one of my points on the board about isolation. They want to keep you to themselves. And a lot of times what happens in controlling relationships is that because you get so tired of arguing about it, and because you get so tired of going through the motions, you'll be more apt to stay at home. I'll just stay at home, just forget it. I'm just not going to go out, just forget it. And so that person gets to hoard you to themselves. And what happens eventually in some cases is that you don't even talk to your friends and family anymore, because there's such an issue. In my marriage, my ex-husband was not necessarily controlling, but he was jealous of my girlfriend. I mean, like, we were cool, we were close. This was my girl. We talked about a lot of different things, but he had an issue with her because we were so close. And it was just weird, but I didn't see it that way when we were married. I just thought, why are you going through the motions with this? And so I cut back a lot of my conversation with her and spending time with her, because it made him so uncomfortable. Now, on this side of maturity, I realized that it was a form of jealousy and control, and not wanting me to talk to her for whatever reason, and it never was fully explained to me. But just keeping me from being able to have close relationships outside of our marriage, which is completely unhealthy. The next one is passive aggressiveness. So you have someone who can't articulate how they feel, so they get back at you and they wait for an opportunity. That kind of goes with the keeping score thing, where, you know, people are kind of like, you know, they make snide comments or they do things, you know, out of retaliation, but it's kind of like these subtle digs and jabs, and, you know, it kind of leaves you wondering, like, what the heck just happened? What's going on? And they're unable to really come to you and say, you know what, when you did so and so and so and so, it made me feel some kind of way. Or, you know, when you said so and so and so and so, it made me feel some kind of way. It's kind of like these people are wired to go, okay, I'm gonna show them. And then they wait for an opportunity. Like, that is crazy behavior, y'all. That's just crazy behavior. Stop it. That goes along with the keeping score thing, like I said. So, you know, you kind of are in your head wondering about the next time that you have an opportunity to do something out of spite or to do something out of vengeance and hurt your partner, when your partner may not have been aware that they even did anything to you, but you kind of get into this dysfunctional cycle of back and forth, pettiness versus petty, vengeance versus revenge. It's exhausting, and emotionally it takes a toll on your psyche. It takes a toll on who you are. And then the next one is that you feel uneasy around your partner, just walking on eggshells. You don't want to say anything to set them off because they might have an outburst. You don't want to do anything to upset the cart. You don't want to do anything to make them feel some kind of way because they're so fragile in their emotions and, you know, whatever. And so your stomach is always in knots. You're always upset. You're always anxious because you just don't know what might set this individual off. And it may not even necessarily be physical. If it is, get some help and get out. Like, seriously, I'm not even joking about that. That somebody putting your hands on you, male or female, that is not healthy. That's not constructive. That does not get better. No, run. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Up to, but excluding putting your hands on somebody, you know, you just have these outbursts, or, you know, or at the reverse is somebody giving you the silent treatment, which I talked about in one of my other videos. Just someone icing you out for no reason, just walking around and, you know, kind of creating this atmosphere of unease and just tension and, you know, making you grovel almost to get them to talk to you and all this other kind of foolishness. That is the height of immaturity. It is control. It is manipulation. It is disgusting when people do that. And yeah, grow up. So, you know, if you're feeling uneasy around your partner, you're feeling like you can't say certain things, you can't bring certain things because you don't know how they're going to respond, that's not a good way to live. It's really not. And that's a terrible attribute to have in a relationship. It stifles communication. It stifles growth. It stifles the ability for you guys to be on the same page. And it's just not healthy. And then the last thing is drama, which ties all of this foolishness together. So you have some people who are just addicted to drama. They really can't function unless they have something to be angry about, something to fuss about, something to really just be all up in arms about, whether it's, you know, you just crying in your pillow every night because you don't love me, or, you know, if you would do this, then I would be happy. And it's just always something. People are just never satisfied. You have to understand that sometimes people are just addicted to histrionics, addicted to drama. And that's who they are. And so unless you're going to continuously be a performer in this dramatic adaptation that these people have going on for their lives, you're going to always be uneasy, unhealthy, just all of the other uns. So, you know, you really want to kind of look at some of these points and some of these things that may be manifesting in your relationship that's preventing you from truly being connected with your partner. And I chose deliberately not to say happy because I think that happiness is a decision. And other people don't necessarily create your emotions for you, but they do influence them and they do impact them. And so you want to be very careful about the partners that you select, because people have the ability to either extract the very best of us or the very worst of us. And so we have to be cognizant of that and understand that if we're not performing at the highest level of what we need to perform at for our own lives, and then in partnership with someone that we care about, you need to really reevaluate who's in your circle. Just my thoughts. But if you're in a toxic relationship, just do some self-evaluation. Make a list. I'm a big believer in lists. Y'all know that. So make a list and really do pros and cons. It's very simplistic. What are you getting out of this relationship? How does this relationship cause you to view yourself? What have you given up in order to be in this relationship? what do you see as is the end goal of this relationship? You have to do a little bit of self-digging. And then if it's still not exactly where you desire it to be or where you need to be, you know, if you're married, I suggest counseling. I think that counseling, matter of fact, I think that everybody should go to counseling at least once. That's just my opinion. However, as couples, because you have two very distinct personalities trying to blend and live harmoniously and, you know, all of this kind of stuff, and you sometimes are jockeying for position, and it causes you to be dysfunctional, and it causes you to develop a toxic relationship without even knowing it. So sometimes a third neutral party is able to help you navigate through all of that, come to some conclusions about your own self and your own awareness and your own development in conjunction with what's happening in this relationship. So that's why I really strongly urge a good professional. But aside from all of that, if this relationship is really taking a toll on you, if it's preventing you from being able to sleep at night, to function, you're always tired, crying, arguing, yeah, it might be time to let that relationship go. I don't know, just my 2 cents. But think about it. Make your list and make your plan, and then seek help if you need to. My thoughts. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.